Throughout the season, we like to highlight the different high-profile local hockey teams playing in Cape Breton, and we've reached out to the head coach of the Memorial Marauders high school hockey team, Marc Lyle. Marc, as we record, your club gets a couple of wins over Sydney Academy to start the season. How excited are you to start this new year of Marauders hockey?
We're pretty excited so far this year. It's always nice to get 2 quick wins to open the season for sure. The second game there last Thursday was pretty entertaining for the fans there. We won the game 3-2 with 17 seconds left to go in the game. Hopefully the winning ways can continue in the coming weeks for sure.
As we've talked in the past, all the Cape Breton teams have their tournaments, and you get to have the season opening tournament in Cape Breton, I guess we can call it. Tell us a little bit about the upcoming Green and Gold tournament. Who do you have coming down for it?
So as always, we have the 3 other local teams in the Cape Breton Loop that are going to be here opening it up. But we also have the Dalbrae Dragons coming to the tournament this year, and also the JL Billsley Judges and the Dartmouth Spartans from off island that are going to be coming down.
Dalbrae, I believe they play in the AA League, but they seem to be pretty competitive. They have appeared at a number of tournaments on this side of the island. Is that correct?
Yeah, from what I hear, they're probably going to be a tough team for sure, regardless of what division that they play in. I know from coaching prior teams in minor hockey and major bantam that there's always competitive players coming outside the Cape Breton West for sure. So we'll be in tough against them for sure.
Nice to see them get an opportunity to play against teams from this side. Some different Cape Breton representation, which is good to see. Obviously, you're hosting this tournament, but I'm assuming throughout the year you'll get the opportunity to compete in other teams' tournaments. Do you have an idea what the away schedule looks like for the Marauders this year?
Off island, we're going to be making another trip to Antigonish for the Millennium Cup. I think it's a week before Christmas break. We'll be back on the road the first week of January, right after Christmas, heading to the City of Lakes tournament up in Dartmouth. Again, it's always 2 great tournaments. The kids enjoy it and the parents enjoy it, and we're looking forward to that. 2 tournaments for sure.
Nice to see you guys have an opportunity to play elsewhere throughout the season. I'm curious as to the makeup of the high school league this year, because obviously you're drawing players from Memorial High School, but what is the previous background? How much are you drawing from guys that played in the U16, maybe guys that dropped down from U18, and of course you have your returning players as well, your Cougars players? How does all that work for the Marauders?
This year is probably the first year where we haven't drawn from either the U16 AAA League or the U18 Major from the Rush. We're pretty much homegrown this year for sure. I think the only alumni that we have from, say, Cougars would be Dan Young. And he's grade 12 now, and we were lucky to have him right from his grade 10 year. But everybody else that we have are pretty much homegrown on the north side from the U15 AA level.
Nice for those guys. They grow up playing in North Sydney, and they get to continue doing that in high school. What does an average week look like for a high school team now between practices and games on a week that you're not going away to a tournament?
We're on the ice twice a week for practice, and of course 2 games a week locally. We're at the rink quite a bit. Practice Monday, practice Saturday, and then depending on who we're playing midweek. It's a busy schedule for sure, but definitely rewarding.
Definitely time management important for the high school kids for sure that are playing high school hockey. You mentioned Dan Young. I guess we'll give you an opportunity to highlight some of the grade 12s that are in their last year of high school hockey. Tell us about some of your veteran players.
It obviously starts with Dan Young. He was our captain last year as a grade 11, and he's back as captain this year in his senior year. In net, we're very lucky to have Jack McPhee. He's been with us the full 3 years with the program. So it all starts and ends with him. We go as Jack goes in net. He's always going to give us a chance to get a win each night. Then can't forget about Jesse Ross as well. He had a pretty strong year last year as a grade 11. He's off to a quick start in his grade 12 year already. He's got a goal and 2 assists in the first 2 games of the year. So hopefully all 3 will contribute the remainder of the year for us to have some success.
You obviously haven't played all the other teams in the high school league, but they've all had the opportunity to play a home game in the early days of the schedule. What's the support looking like? Did you have good crowds in the opening weeks of the season?
Yeah, so we opened up the first 2 games against Sydney Academy, the first one on the road over, number 2 against them. And then our first home game, the home opener, was pretty electric. The building was loud the whole way through. Obviously, when we were able to get that 3rd goal, get the 3-2 win, the roof almost blew off the rink. It was pretty crazy. The kids enjoyed it, especially as senior players. Lots of smiles on their faces for sure.
Well, it is what it's all about. That's obviously a competitive game. Do you envision it is going to be a competitive league this year between the 4 local clubs?
I certainly do. I think this is probably going to be one of the more tighter years for all 4 teams. Opening night, we had a 6-1 win against SA, but they came back 2 nights later and gave us everything we could handle with the 3-2 win. But I know, looking at Riverview and Glace Bay, they've both had 2 close games as well. The first game decided by 2 goals, and then I think their second game was a 3-2 win for Riverview. It's going to be tight.
Well, we certainly hope for good hockey throughout the season. Lastly, I'll ask again about the tournament. Just tell us if you have scheduling details? When does it all get going, and what's the format for it?
The 4 local teams are going to be here. We have 7 teams that make up the tournament. Opening night's going to be Thursday, November the 2nd. We're going to open up with Riverview and Glace Bay at 5:30 p.m. And then we're going to take on Sydney Academy at 7:30. That night continues Friday through Sunday that weekend with the championship game going for 11 a.m. on Sunday.
Best of luck in that event and the rest of the season. Thanks for telling us all about it, Mark.
All right. Thanks, Pat. Take care.
That's Marc Lyle. He's the head coach of the Memorial Marauders High School hockey team, joining us at the intermission. You're listening to Celtic Kubota, Cape Breton Eagles Hockey, 1270 CJCB.